Welcome to TopShot NFT. I'm your host, Jason, and we've been on a little bit of a hiatus. Probably a good thing in the TopShot world. It's been about 2-3 weeks since we've had our last guest, but we came back with the thunder, and we've got the real Phil D. Welcome, Phil.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me on, man. This has been a long time in the making. I know you had my brother LG on a while back, so I was excited to be the next one chosen to be on this show. So I'm happy to be here.
It's really cool. So LG started the first mint, obviously before I was even introduced to NBA TopShot, but it was kind of like, that was almost like the only competition. And that was kind of my thought. I was like, my background is in broadcasting. My co-host sometimes Linux, we were on the phone those first couple of weeks in January, like constantly, like every 2 or 3, like 3 or 4 times a day, just being like, what do you think about this? And breaking down NFTs and all. And I was like, we need to just hit record on our phone call and do a pod. And then LG just went into the stratosphere and became like Mr. TopShot. Because I remember, like, I think, like sub 1,000 followers for the first time. And now it's obvious that he doesn't sleep, and you're a big part of that as well.
It's a runaway train, and the thing is with LG is that he's got the First Mint account. He doesn't use his own account that much, right? As opposed to people like me, I'm all over the place. So sometimes people associate me with the First Mint more than they do him, but I'm constantly deflecting all the time because the amount of work he puts in is like, I don't have anything on him. Like, I do such a small part of it. I'm really part of the live shows. I help him out with some NBA stuff because I follow the NBA so closely and things like that. But it's funny you say that, because the way it all started, I've told this story a million times, but not everybody's heard it, is that he contacted, I've been doing podcasts for years. I have my own podcast that covers the NBA 2K League, which is the video game league. People find it hard to believe anybody watches that, but it's an actual league sanctioned by the NBA where all the actual real NBA teams have a franchise in the league. And they draft players the way the NBA drafts players from all sorts of markets, and they all fly into that market. So the Toronto team will draft someone from, say, Australia. They'll draft someone from the United States, from Texas, California. They all move to Toronto, and they all play out of the home base here and travel to New York every single weekend to play other teams. Really cool concept. So I've been doing a podcast covering that for 2 or 3 years now. And he contacted me about a podcast. He goes, well, just basic stuff. How does your podcast work? What do you do? What kind of music? What kind of intro do you do? I gave him tips. So I didn't know why. I didn't know what he was up to. He didn't tell me. So a couple of weeks later, he goes, hey, check this out. It's my first podcast episode. I said, oh, wow, the First Mint. I don't even know what this is. So
the first mint.
The first mint comes out. He sends me the link. He posts it on Twitter. And I see this shiny new, the whole First Mint Twitter page. I'm like, wow, all right, pretty cool. Only a couple hundred, not even 100 followers. I think I was one of the first 20 followers, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I said, what? I'll support him. I've got my own podcast with thousands of listeners, whatever, I'll even download it to give him extra downloads on different devices and all sorts of stuff. Right. So I put it on just so it would count as a viewer or listen. And as he was talking, I'm like, hold on a second. What is this TopShot thing? Right? Like, he's talking about LeBron James and rare moments. And I'm like, hold up a second here. So I text him and I'm like, dude, what is this thing exactly, man? What's TopShot? He says, hey, man.
What's the time frame on this? Is this like October, December?
No, January. When
January.
So when the first episode came out, it was early January, but he had been on there for a long time. And what I didn't know is that my son's birthday is in August. He had set up my son on TopShot back in August, gave him a bunch of moments, put him some dapper balance, said, here, happy birthday. Here's an account on TopShot. You do what you want with it. My son's a big basketball fan. So it's like, my son actually didn't do much. He bought a bunch of stuff with the money he had in there, but he kind of just didn't do anything. He's like, you didn't know what to do, because apparently back in August and all that, it was like you could go 2 or 3 days without one transaction on the marketplace.
Wow.
Right? So we don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that. So anyway, so when I picked up on it and I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. And LG started sending me, just to get me going, he sent me a couple of moments here and there. He bought a couple things for me, sent me a couple things that he had, but I still didn't know what I was doing. I must have texted him like 5,000 times in the early going because I'm like, dude, I don't understand any of this. Right. Yeah. But that's how it all started for me. Then I fell in love with the whole thing. A big part of it is a lot of the stuff he gave me that was worth it was worth $5 at the time or even lower, turned into hundreds and thousands of dollars, right? So, I mean, he had no way of knowing, and now I said, you don't have to get me a Christmas present this year. And he said, yeah, I don't think I have to get you in the next 30 years.
Did you, Wade's, and Wade's was one of the first people I connected with. And we haven't really talked so much when he's been on the podcast, but just off the podcast. And sometimes he's just like, I can't believe how much I've given away. Oh, yeah. Like he gave Josh Hart, like tens of thousands of dollars worth of moments, but you didn't necessarily, we didn't know what was going to come, and and of course now we're kind of like, we've come full circle where it's like, I'm a big gold guy. Like in February, when the Metallic 2 golds came out, me and Lennox were like, we're going to team up together. We're going to buy all the golds and we're going to do all the challenges because the gold standard, that's they're not going to drop. And obviously we have been murdered on that investment. Man. And I was like, I learned my lesson. And then when these new golds came out, I was looking at the prices and they were all around like $250. And I was like, you know what? Those are really kind of cheap. Like, let me jump on that. And so last time when we were slowly buying it and then they kept going up and up. So like ended up paying like $900 for a Thomas Spansky or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I've since sold for like 200. But
oh man,
I decided to go back into the fray. And the challenge that just ended with DeMar DeRozan, DeMar's $400 for the reward. Yeah. And then the TJ McConnell that I paid $250 for is now like $80. And it's a metallic gold. Like,
oh man,
it's so insane to me.
I kind of caught on to what was going on with challenges. And I also figured, here's my story. I did the Cool Cats and all the kind of the lower end common challenges.
Yeah.
But then when I saw what was happening after Cool Cats 2, and I kept getting a bad serial on the rewards. So I'm like, why am I even doing this? What's the point of doing this when I'm spending all this crazy money? I mean, we're talking about some of the moments in Cool Cats 2 being like $1,500, right?
Yeah.
I think Tyler Hero at one point was $1,500. And it's just like, okay. And the reward for that is worth how much now? $100, right?
Right.
So I clued in pretty early on those challenges that if I wait until the few days after the challenge, I can buy every moment that I can actually buy whatever I want. Doesn't even have to be the ones that were required. If I like only a few of them, I can buy those plus the reward for cheaper, maybe by like $1,000 cheaper than what I paid for the entire thing. The moments needed for the challenge. Right.
Yeah.
So I bailed out of Cool Cats because of that. I completely sold off and said, you know what, if this continues to happen, if I want to buy back in at the very end, I'll probably be able to in the trend that we're going.
Yeah.
I wanted to focus my attention more on the metallic gold challenges and things like that because I didn't have too many rares or legendaries. So I jumped into the Jamal Murray one, and then it was the Rising Stars Zion challenges.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, now I'm good. And I'm paying pretty decent amounts for these moments, right?
Yep.
James Harden cost me, I think, like $1,500 in that metallic gold challenge. But I made sure to buy good serial numbers. I overpaid to buy decent serial numbers so that even if this happened again, I'd still be in an okay position. Like they're all really, top. I'd say they're all in the top 50 serial numbers for every single one I bought, right?
Right.
But if you look now, that Jamal Murray reward it's like it's going down and down. And what shocks me the most is that people right after the challenge, you'll see like 200 or 300 people listing the moment for sale. It's like, what?
I'm not a DeRozan fan, but like it was someone bought one for $350, and I was like, why would you complete the challenge and then unload it for $350 like that?
2 seconds later.
Yeah. Like it was literally
I understand.
Just it, I wised up on the Cool Cats um, I did Luca, and then I think the Anthony Davis, and then after that I started buying secondary and waiting. Right. And even still, like I would wait like a week, like I would a week for the Jokic, and then they still went down even further. You know, the hustle and show pack. I pulled a number 6 Chioza, and wow. I mean that's the best serial number I've ever pulled in a pack, and I sold it for $360.
Man, come on now.
And like now it's like $7, you know, like I'm really fascinated, like, with that Dingling guy.
Oh man.
I mean, the mystery and all that, but at the same time, like, I'm sorry, but like 5 years from now, if you paid $3,000 for a number 1 Chris LeVert gold,
yeah,
is it really going to be like who's paying $10,000 or something like that 5 years from now for him? Like nobody's even going to know who he is. You know,
what if there's another from now to 5 years, Jason? What if there's another 10 or 15 LeVert metallic golds and another 10 or 15 number 1s of LeVert's? What makes this one special 5 years from now? Not much. I'll tell you that, right? I mean, I don't know.
I said it on the stream yesterday, like. And there was a point where, you know, especially February 21st, where I was, you know, I'm like calling up my parents and I'm like, you know what? I might be a damn millionaire this year.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
and obviously, like, I'm a lot further from that today, but I'm selling pretty much everything I can, even at losses, just to like buy back into LeBron everything.
That's right.
You know,
well, yeah. And I always say, looking back, if I was more knowledgeable with this stuff, I'm not a big stock market guy. I'm not into markets too much. Right. So this was kind of new for me, not my first experience, but my first experience into a chaotic market. And I always look back, I said, if I look at the value of my account at the highest of highs, right, when everybody was coming into the platform and all these articles were being posted, everybody wanted to know what Top Shots, because all the newbies say Top Shots with an S. They wanted to know what Top Shots was. Like, I'm not going to lie. The first minute, we had all these rappers and stuff, like famous rappers contact. Everybody was coming out of the woodwork, and now they're nowhere to be seen, right? If back then I had sold everything I have at the highest of highs, I mean, we're looking at, could have probably bought it all back for like 10 times less than what it was at the time, right? Like, how insane is that? The Luka Doncic 1,500 or 15,000 LE. I had like 7 or 8 of them because I bought them all at $80 and I sold them all at $800, man. And I kept two, and now they're worth like $40 or $50, right? And I'm just like, man, I could have just got rid of them and been like, you know, $1,600 richer at the time. But you can't look at it that way, because if everybody had done that, then we wouldn't even be here, right? But I mean, the expectation is that we all thought this was going to keep going for a long time, right? And then,
and I guess that's kind of the thing too. It's like, you know, I've been very adamant about saying, like, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, and I never have, but I have definitely been sipping on it, you know, and there's just that part of the hope where, you know, we want to see like February come back, and you know, you're especially now, I would say, like, you know, you and Luke, especially Luke, but like the amount of mentions and interaction on social, like, I'm so tired of seeing Top Shot to the moon, or like when someone posts like scooping up all these deals, and it's like, I want to pull for you. I want it all to be true. Little part of me is like, you need to wake up a little bit. You need that cold brew. Like,
that's right. You need to adjust, though. You have to adjust to what's going on. I agree, man. And I don't know that right now is the time to be scooping everything up. I think a lot of people are waiting for the $1 moments. And when it gets to $1, I mean, your risk is very low, right? If the moments are all back to $1 or $2, your risk is low. But like you said, you made a really good point. In 5 years from now, does anybody care? And I always go back to the same person. Does anybody care about an Ish Smith or a Gary Harris, you know, 35,000 LE from you know, this season? I don't know. Aside from a number 1, even then, who cares really, right? So I think people have to be careful. You have to really Top Shot. You have to adapt with what's going on. right?
Absolutely.
And you're in for. I feel for the people that showed up in mid-February and dropped a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
Because
I had a buddy. I had a buddy that did it, and like we made a deal where I was going to just kind of manage his account. Like he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like here's $10,000. Like basically build me an account. And I was like, and I bought only LeBron, Luka, Zion, and a couple like Damian Lillard, like Jamal Murray's, Giannis. And that account is now, it went from like 10,000 to like 3,000. But did the Kevin Durant Seeing Stars challenge, which was brutal. That's worth nothing now. And again, like I keep seeing all the things. We'll wait till hardcourt comes in. It's like, well, hardcourt's not even going to come close to competing with 2K. Like, I can't imagine what they can possibly create that is, and it's not. And if it can't rival 2K, then how successful could it be? I'm okay with the dilution of like load us up with JJ Redick's. Like he's I love JJ Redick, but like dilute with all these like crappy players because you need that. Like, I mean, that was, if I go back to when I was a child buying, skybox packs and stuff and, pulling out, Scott Skiles, it's like, oh, why do I have Scott Skiles?
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, or Luke Longley or Bill Winning, but that was part of it. Like, we had there was so much limited, really, if you think about it, like if Zubac was the worst pull and he starts on the Clippers that could potentially
that's right.
title, he's a starter. It's not. It's really interesting.
It's really hard to predict what this market does because the market also doesn't like certain players. You said DeRozan, all right, who's had a great career. He really has, right?
He's a Hall of Famer.
Well, yeah, I mean, in Toronto, they'll say arguably because he never won anything here. But DeRozan has been an all-star many times, and he just doesn't get the respect on TopShot. A guy like Alex Caruso gets more respect than him on TopShot.
It's part of the team too. Being the Spurs, like Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are beasts. Like Utah's, the best team in the league, basically, and
that's right.
We have no. Those are the two guys, and Mike Conley. That's who I know on the Utah Jazz. And Donovan Mitchell's, he's a stud, and like that was what was interesting is with that bubble. Like it seemed like there was this emergence. It's like, did we forget that like Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray, Murray's hurt, but like what they were doing against each other, like that was amazing. And now, Donovan Mitchell's a $5 moment.
Well, I guess that's where they want it to be. I mean, it's not like they really lied to us, TopShot or anything like that, because they've long said that they want players like Luka and all that to be accessible to everyone. I think Luka's lowest price moment now is that new one. I think it's at $5 or $6. And, we never thought we would see that. Luka's was, there was a list of about 4 or 5 players that were right under LeBron that if you had one of them, you better keep it forever because it's going to be worth a lot no matter what, right? That's why I bought all those Lukas when I did, because I thought, hey, the golden rules of TopShot early were to own as many LeBrons as you can and then own as many Kevin Durant's, Luka Doncic, and a couple other guys. As Zion, obviously very popular. If you own these guys, you'll live a good life on TopShot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now with the amount of moments, and we said it, another 300,000 packs coming this week, man. And we're on a crash course for $1 moments. I know it's coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
are you a big physical card guy now at all?
No, not now at all. I was when I was a kid. I had a ton of them, man. A ton.
I always try and I'd like to get the numbers, and I've tried to Google and talk to people. No one can ever. That's a good thing about TopShot is exactly what's out there. But how many Ish Smiths are on, Tops or whatever? Like, how many of those exist in the world? Is 35,000? Is it? 35,000 is like not a lot when there's 300,000 of Ishmis running, out there.
That's true, though. That's true. And I can guarantee you the numbers are smaller than physical cards. I think they are, right?
Yeah.
But because everything is so apparent, right? I mean, you can see everything on the blockchain, right? That's another thing. Like, that's another thing that's driven me. I've had to adjust to that because we're out there a lot. And when we did the live show, a lot of people listen to what we say. And even now, when I make any sort of move on the marketplace, man, I get so many DMs. People like furious, asking me what do you think you're doing? Like, what do you mean? What do you think I'm doing, man? I'm buying 10 Josh Harts because I want to.
Yeah.
Right? They want an explanation. Explain yourself. Like, what do you mean explain myself?
Well, your market move. He knows something we don't know.
But complete panic happens, right? Even though there's nothing going on. And I was only getting the Josh Harts because, I said maybe he'll be part of a challenge down the line. Who knows? What's the risk at $5? There's not much of a risk, right? I'll be holding the bag. If he goes down to $2 or $3, what do I lose? I lose $10, whatever it is. Doesn't matter, right? But anyway, so because of the blockchain, you see everything. It's totally different. That's a great question. I actually have no idea how many physical cards ever get printed for anything. And I've actually wondered the same thing as you, Jason. I've wondered that before just to compare the two. But I don't have the info. I don't know. I would assume it's a lot more than, right?
I do have a bone to pick with you because you guys love to speculate, and I got bit so hard on Cool Cat's comment where it was the foreign one, because I guess it was Jokic, and it was like, players from foreign countries. So it was Serge Ibaka, Bismack, Biyombo, and Zubac. All of which, like 3 days before, I liquidated for like $10. So then I was like buying them back for like 30.
Oh man!
Off that, and then of course they weren't used. And so then I was like, so then I sold them. Then Serge Ibaka is needed in another challenge.
Unbelievable.
I'm so tired I'm not going to chase these like short names. And this was right after Will Barton madness.
Oh, well, that's what catapulted the whole thing is everybody was hoping for another situation where we get a Will Barton. But that one was the bloodbath. That was the bloodbath, that one, because two things. It started with international players because that's what it looked like. So we put that out there. We put the theory out there. We identified the international players. I bought a bunch of them too. Then we had a live show. We did the TopShot live pack drop show where we had Jacob come on the show with us.
Yeah.
And I straight up asked him, I go, Jacob, what's this pattern you guys are doing? What's up with these? Like, what's going on with this Cool Cats? And he goes, oh, it's international. It's cool country players. And I'm like, oh, man, did he just say that in front of the 200,000 people in line? Like, no. This needed to be on a show that we had just, behind the scenes and we were recording, because now I know someone caught on to that. And I know someone's going to start moving on the cool country guys. So all of a sudden we got like these hackers sending us these lists of what's in the next Cool Cats drop packs. And it shows that there's these 5 players with more distribution than everybody. Right. So we put it out there. We're like, hey, listen, there's these 5 players in the next drop that have like 2,000 more moments than everybody else in that drop. They're all from cool countries. And Jacob just said this. And sure enough, it was accurate. But they had like 2 weeks. I mean, there was a big delay back then. They had 2 weeks to actually change the game plan. Yeah. And I have all these Discord like screenshots of people calling us like criminals for revealing this info, all this crazy stuff, man. And telling Roham, hey, you need to put an end to this. These people who know what's coming out ahead of time. It's not fair. You need to stop. So because of that, I had so much of these guys. I'm like, I better sell them because I'm afraid they're going to switch up on us. I was terrified. People were buying them up to $40, $45. And I had got them all at 8 or 9. So I had like 20 or 30 of them. So I sold a bunch of them because I was so terrified. I said, the more time elapses between now and when they actually drop this, they're definitely changing the plan. There's no way with all this that they're going with it.
Yeah.
So the minute I started selling, I was getting like death threats, man. People were like, what are you doing? Because they're getting all confused. They don't know what to do. They're freaking out that we didn't pump it. All we did was say, this is the theory. It's not even ours. We got it from Mick that time, right? He was the originator of that theory. But it doesn't matter. We're the ones who put it out there. The tweets get a lot of attention. So, man, the DMs just explode with crazy people like that with every move we make. So
I thought about altering my Twitter handle. My Twitter handle is Bar Therapist. I wrote a book called The Bartending Therapist.
Yeah.
And so I was a big social media guy, leading up to my book. So my idea was I wanted to write this book and I met. Do you know who Ty Lopez is?
I know the name. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
All right. So, like, this is when Ty Lopez and Gary Vaynerchuk were starting to first blow up. Like Ty Lopez had just started his Instagram account. Now he's like 3-4 million. And so I was in this fold, and I was talking about how, like, to this group of guys in that circle, and I wanted to publish my book, and I was like, once I publish it, then I'll become like famous, social media famous. And they were like, no, dude, like, ramp up your social media and then sell your book. Then you have something to sell. It worked. And my book actually got #1 on Amazon for like 2 days because I figured out social media was building. So short story long, like, I didn't want to change my name to like NBA TopShot Pod or something or NFT related. And I'm glad that I didn't, because like I kind of get tagged and stuff, like the showcase, conundrums. But
let's not go there.
But it's kind of like I've maintained my anonymity on Twitter, like in the TopShot community. So when I kind of pop up, it's like, unless you look at my bio, you don't really know who is this guy, but I cannot stand, in the early days, like, is this a good pull? Is it, how'd I do?
Oh, no, I don't answer those rarely.
Oh,
I don't know. You tell me, like, seriously, I don't know. Yeah. Do you like it?
I mean, did you? All right. We had some technical difficulties, but that little glitch that you just saw, we're back. We're live, better than ever. I was telling Phil, I was like, he just froze, and I was like, it's got to be the Canadian internet. It can't be Los Angeles internet, but we had a quick blackout. We have them all the time, especially when it starts getting warmer. People start cranking up the air conditioners, and LA can't handle it. So we have rolling blackouts all the time. So
all good. The important part is we're back now.
Yes. Where were we?
So you were saying how you didn't want to change your Twitter handle or any of that to anything TopShot related. And once you finish, I've got a good story behind that, because it has been a huge topic for people. Whether they should do that, right? So I find it interesting that you stuck with it, and I think it is a good move, because if you had changed it, you kind of limit yourself to what you can do, and you don't want to lose your identity. But ironically enough, a lot of people have created second Twitter accounts because they don't want to alienate their either fan base or their friends or their family or whoever's there that follows them on Twitter. Like, I feel like I can't post anything that's not NFTs or TopShot anymore. Like, I can't go crazy for my own local sports teams and stuff like that, because my followers don't want to hear about that stuff. Like, I don't know, man.
I agree with that. Like, see, I think you're in a different spot, and there's a handful of us that are in different spots, like, that have decided to kind of be in the content creator mode. But then there's others, like, like I would say, like Jack, who does content creation, but like Pringsky and stuff, that are kind of the ones that are kind of famous for just having big accounts. Like, they shouldn't change anything. They should just be who they are. For us, I think I have like 11,000 followers, for the longest time. And so I'm sure I've lost as many as I've gained in TopShot, but I can't keep an eye on what I'm gaining or losing. But, if you've had like 500 Twitter followers before all this, and you feel the need that you need to create a TopShot Twitter handle to not alienate those 500 people.
Yeah, no, that's a different story. Yeah, no, I can't give specifics, but there's a lot of people I've been in contact, because like our inbox is almost like it's like a customer service of all,
sure.
Like, it's nuts, man. I even actually missed your first DM, and then when you came back around the second time, I caught it. So that was good. But I've been in contact with certain people. Then I look up their account and I see like 20 followers. I'm like, okay, well, that's obviously not their real account, right?
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of really high profile people that have said, well, by the way, I'm actually this person. I use this account on the side because I don't want to really, I don't want to go crazy about cool cats in front of my audience. And then I looked them up. I'm like, holy crap, right? Like, wow. All right. Well, a lot of burner accounts out there with big names behind them. And
Kevin Durant's
yeah,
huge for that.
that's right.
He trolls his own account.
Yeah, he's not very good at hiding it. That's the thing with Kevin Durant, right? But yeah, it's really cool to see, and I totally get it. Some people are running big businesses, and they don't want to be bitching about Top Shot and things like that on their actual account, because that's not the dynamic or the audience, right? So they've created another account where they could go crazy and have almost nobody follow them, but they can still express themselves, right?
Well, and it's interesting too, because having like that burner account, like say you are high profile and, like Kevin Durant, for example, and he like has a shit night or misses a shot and he's got all these haters. And you want to be like, well, fuck you. I'm the one that's like, who the fuck are you? And needle them and be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, Mr. High School, all county guy, like, shut up, so I can kind of see that. But at the same, because we want to sit there and think, oh, you should be bigger. And, like Joe Rogan's always like, don't read the comments. And he doesn't look at that. It's like bullshit.
Yeah, right.
Like,
that's right.
You might not look at it as much as most people, but you can't help but not. I hate having the little red dot, like like on anything, So like unread messages, I'm really bad. When the book came out, like it was insane because my book, while it's bartending, but it was kind of this self-help motivation. I get flooded with like I'm suicidal, like I just got fired from my job. My girl doesn't want me, and I am not a sugarcoat. Like, oh, chin up, fuck up. Yeah. I'm like, well, maybe she left you because you're a piece of shit. Like, maybe you should step your game up. Like,
maybe I get it, man. I get it. Yeah, like you said. I mean, you were talking about the showcase challenge and all that. Like you get people saying, hey, I love your pod. I love what you guys do. I love this. I love that. Can you really help me get this? Or can you help me pump this moment? Can you help me sell this? That's like, come on, man. Don't put us in that position. I mean, we're not going to do that. We do that for you. We're going to have to do it for everybody. And it's, what's the reason behind it? I don't know. For me, I try and get to as many as we can. That's actually been a big thing for us at the First Minute, was try and respond as much as we can and be as interactive as possible in the community. Mm-hmm. But it's really tough with the amount of people that, like, when I'm on the Twitter account for the First Mint, I can't even tell you, man. I thought mine was bad. Holy crap. Sure. And oh my God, the stuff that goes in there is just like, even from a ton of blue check marks are in there too. And it's just like, well, I don't know. You need someone to take care of all this stuff. It's almost impossible. Right.
It's funny. Twitter like kind of had this resurgence with cryptocurrency because, I always said like nerdier people use Twitter. Everybody uses Instagram. Right. So like I grew my Instagram accounts and that was so much easier, posting content so much easier. Like Twitter to grow is like really difficult. Even if you have I have one tweet once that went viral and it maybe got me like 500 or 600 more followers in one day. And I mean, I got like, 2,000-3,000 retweets, but like on Instagram, I would post something that would go viral and I would get like 5,000-6,000 in a day. If I posted the right thing, so Twitter's kind of like the real grind, and it's had this resurgence with crypto for sure. And maybe it's just because I'm in it now and I'm seeing all the, the algorithms are targeting all of it towards me. Are you, besides TopShot, like what else in crypto is kind of taken away from your family life?
I mean, honestly, like Top Shot was probably my first dive into crypto, man. My brother's been into it for so long. Mm-hmm. And he's been buying, he's been buying ETH forever now. And it's like, when you look at the prices he was buying it at and what I bought it at, it's just like, what's happening here, right? How did I not get into this before? So it's a little disappointing there that I didn't take it seriously and kind of get more into it. But I'm kind of open to any project that comes along on the NFT side, especially sports, right? I'm such a huge sports guy that I'm willing to give it a shot. Like we were there for that WWE WrestleMania Undertaker drop. Yeah. Even though not too many people were there, we were both there, battling it out for a good serial number because it was like a first come, first serve type of deal for the serial number.
Oh, wow.
Looking forward to NFL and NHL and whoever else decides to dive into this stuff. But, even I think I think as much as I've bitched about Dapper Labs and a lot of the stuff they've done and how they've handled this whole thing, because I've always said that I think if I could change anything with Dapper Labs, it'd be on the customer service side of things. Communication for me was so awful throughout the first couple of months. It's like, we don't care if you have problems for a week. Just tell us, keep us updated. Don't wait 4 hours to tell us the drop's not happening. If there's issues, let us know, man. Because if you let people burn the house down, by the time you turn the hose on, if there's not much left, that's not, tell us. That's all we care about. If you want to shut down the site for a week, awesome, man. Let us know there's a major issue. We're shutting it down for a week. We're all going to be there when you come back. Just tell us, right?
I mean, how many times has it been like, especially when we first got in and had to deal with everything, like with people getting 80 packs and we kept getting fails and only get one. And it was just like, man, fuck you. I'm done. All right, here's my money. Just take it. Fine.
That's right.
So sick. I'm done. Screw it. All right, there's a pack here. Take the money.
No, for sure. But here's the thing. For all the frustrations I've had with them, when I look at other products, I always say I wish they had kind of the same setup as TopShot in terms of marketplace and the way the drops come out. It's so cool, right? So that when I heard about this Genies project that they're doing this summer, I've been pumping it a little bit, even though it's not on a blockchain yet, but it's going to be on the Flow blockchain. And they've got some pretty big name artists and celebrities on board with them already, which is huge, right? It's something that I could connect with my daughter mostly with, because
that's cool.
That's something she would love. So I signed her up for it. I said, look, this is something that's not developed yet, but you get to make your own character. You love Shawn Mendes and Justin Bieber. They're already on board for this project. You may be able to, I tell her all the time, she's young. I've signed off on her TopShot account, but she does everything. Like, she loves Jamal Murray. She buys a ton of Jamal Murrays. She collects all the players she loves. She's got some rare moments, all that stuff, right? Pack drops are huge for her because she just loves opening packs. So I told her, I said, listen, I'll set you up with this. You never know. This could be a thing where if you have, if they do pack drops for Justin Bieber and the clothes he's selling, if you own this and that, maybe in those packs, they'll have like backstage passes when there's a concert in Toronto. You don't know, man, right? Yeah. The utility that they can do with these things, including TopShot, which we're not even close to getting to yet, right?
Yeah.
If you have a score of something and you go to a game, you get courtside seats or something like that. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. So for me, that's the big thing, man, is the utility of all these projects is we're still in the infancy stages right now, right?
So have you been to a Justin Bieber concert yet?
No, listen. So she did not like Justin Bieber until very recently. But no, listen, she's into Ariana Grande. So Ariana Grande, we've been to quite a few of those, and I do my best to get like those VIP packages where you get to meet her. Actually, Ariana takes pictures with whoever has VIP. Like, you get like four pictures with her. Very cool. But now
she's very little too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I always said, hey, listen, I know your mom likes to go with you, but I'll go with you if you're going to. Right.
I like all types of music, but I appreciate like pop music. Like in the 90s, I was the one that in my car when I was driving out of the parking lot, like I'm bumping like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Gangsta Rap. And then when I get on like the highway when no one could hear it, I've got Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys. Like, I run the gamut. I even went and met Britney Spears in Vegas when she was doing her residency.
That's awesome, man.
But the Justin Bieber concert, wow. Like, I mean, he puts on a show, but also just the crowd that goes there. I mean, it's mostly women. Now obviously you gotta, be careful that you're looking at the right age group of women, but their moms and stuff too.
Oh yeah, it's never a small concert too.
No, especially it was Staples Center.
When he comes here, because this is the hometown concert, they usually go to the bigger venues like the Rogers Center that fits like 60, 70 or 80,000. And the place just goes wild. So for me, the selling point with her with this whole thing wasn't, hey, you get to just build your genie. It's that you may be able to use this in the future.
There's a goal.
Yeah. She's already into it, man, like fully into it. But she's asking when this marketplace is opening, when we're going to have drop. I said, that's coming. Don't worry. It's the same group of people that are behind it. And I think I've got my support behind Dapper just because I love TopShot, right? And I'm excited to see what they do. But now the big question mark is, where's this UFC project, right?
Right.
I don't know. We haven't heard from it since they asked for people to sign up and test for them, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know anybody who was picked for that, and I don't even know that it started, to be honest with you. So, that is also supposed to be Dapper, and there's rumors that they have the NFL license and all that. So, it's a little rough that NBA is the kind of test project for this whole thing.
Yeah.
But look, we all started earlier this year. It's only been a few months, right? I mean, it feels like we've been on this thing for 2 or 3 years.
Remember back when we were young, Phil, and
yeah,
the hoops packs and the first, yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's still very new, man, and it's like I can only imagine in a year from now what all this might look like. That's where I keep my faith in these projects. It might be something awful. I don't know, man.
Well,
who knows?
I look at it like, it feels like one of two things. It's either Beanie Babies or it's Bitcoin, you know? And I don't like my thought again, this goes back to like investing in the core guys, the top 5, I'll say LeBron, Luka, Zion, whatever your top 5 is, but anything else, is not necessarily a good play. And I love Chris Paul, Hall of Famer, class act guy. 10 years from now, I don't think we're really, talking about how great Chris Paul was. John Stockton's arguably the greatest point guard of all time. Nobody talks about it.
No, that's right.
He was on the dream team. So there's such a fine level of, even now it's like really it would be LeBron, Kobe, Shaq, and Jordan. Like those are the only 4 you really care about.
I agree. It's really weird how it works, right?
Yeah.
The market has decided who they like and who they don't like, regardless of their credentials and their history in the league. It doesn't matter. Like you said, John Stockton, who cares, right? That's just the way the market sees it. A lot of good players in the NBA that are worth absolutely nothing on Top Shot. It's kind of weird, right? So when people are stacking up on some of these guys, I see it all the time because they'll message me and say, I own 500 of this. Can you kind of bump it up a bit? It's gone down from what I thought it would. I'm just like, well, it's none of those top 2-tier guys. So you shouldn't be surprised.
Pascal Siakam, isn't performing like he's supposed to.
That's right.
I'll say this, and I've said this many times. Jack Settleman said the greatest line in this arena that I've ever heard. And he was like, he collects, I guess, Pikachus or whatever. He's like, Pikachu can't blow out an ACL or rupture an Achilles. And that's what, Jamal Murray, like I stacked a couple of him.
Oh, man.
And I was like so pumped for the Nuggets. And then his knee's gone. Jaylen Brown, he's out for the season.
I saw that, man. I know.
And that stuff's real, and
hold on. Jaylen, hold on. I don't know how I missed this. Hold on. Is he out from that collision with Tatum?
He
Shut up. He's actually out. I don't even know how I missed this. He's out for the year.
I mean, I think it always. I don't know the full prognosis, but it's basically like he's out for the year.
Wow, I didn't even know that, man.
Yeah,
that's brutal. Yeah, for both those teams, that kind of ruins it, man. Like you said, Jamal Murray. We were expecting, a repeat of last year's playoffs, maybe with a little bit extra with the guys they've added on that team, right?
Yeah.
They were going to be the menace in the West, and what a bummer. And I just bought so much of him, man.
And now you had to go with the Michael Porter Jr., and then even the other side is the bubble was such a unique experience, but how many people are really watching basketball? Like the numbers are heavily down, and the product, I think like there's been some amazing nights in the association, but at the same time, there's a lot of crap basketball too. Like I can't watch a lot of teams. Like I won't watch LeBron or the Lakers without LeBron. Like I just won't do it. Even Anthony Davis, forget it. I'll watch every game with Zion, but as soon as Zion gets taken out of the game, like I'm switching on.
Over.
Yeah, like I'll watch something else. It's a player-driven league, and Lennox, the guy on this show, is a big Keldon Johnson fan, and so he bought a lot of like the bunch of the $1 Keldon Johnsons way back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, you can bet on them, and then in February it was a great bet because it went to like $100, but it's really interesting. It's hard to stay on top of everything. And that's where, like, I was, kind of knocking you with the speculation and causing my pain and agony with Bismack Biombo. But the markets can move, like, all of a sudden, like, CryptoPunks like becomes like it's almost like the Ferrari of crypto guys, like,
right.
Your way to flex is this CryptoPunk. Are they really worth that much?
Yeah.
Now we have the apes, the Meebits, it's like, what the longevity kind of scares me, especially with some of the prices that this stuff is at too.
Don't forget the ghosts are out now too. I saw that today. I'm just like, ghosts. I'm like, what's going on here, man? Something called ghosts. I didn't look into it, but do you own an ape? That's the question of the day. I don't either.
I only have TopShot and Nifty Gateway. Like, I don't have any other cryptocurrency at all. Like, so, like OpenSea and Wax and stuff like that. Like, I tried to get in on the horse drop and I couldn't figure it out. And I was just, forget it.
I'm in the same, I don't know, man. I'm a huge sports guy, like I said, but there's something about Zed Run where I've spent so much energy invested in TopShot and figuring out TopShot and all those things that it seems like it's the people who were into TopShot are now almost uniquely into Zed Run, whoever's really bought into it. Yeah. And I don't know that I'm ready to make that transition or that I even want to bother. It looks really complicated to me. The drops look like a complete shit show where people links are being sent out and shared and stolen. And
did you do the motorcycle?
I did. Yes.
Yeah. I got like 3 of those packs. Can't open them yet.
Don't know what's going on, man. I'm a big fan actually of the MotoGPs. I like I said, I think there's not a sport in the world I don't follow. Right. And I follow F1, I follow MotoGP. I missed the F1 project, but I don't really. I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't really know what's going on with that F1, that Delta project there, where you kind of sell racetracks and stuff like that. It's kind of weird, right? So I figured I'll get into the Moto one. That was a disaster. The first drop, the second drop was equally wild. I do have packs as well. I know LG has packs. A lot of people we know have packs, but we don't know. I don't mind that they're taking their time. I'm not going to lie. Okay. If it's not a good product and you don't have a proper marketplace and all that, but what I'm not encouraged by these guys is that they took their sweet ass time with the second drop, and the second drop had all sorts of issues. So I'm like, all right. So I praised you guys for taking that much time, but the second drop was terrible. It was a nightmare.
You want to be like, are you not looking right next door at your neighbor's lawn? NBA TopShot.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Era that they had going on, like how do you not know it? And then of course, like we get burned because it's Italian time, so it's like,
that's right.
Like I always bust Wade's about that, like, because he's in Australia and it's like, fuck, the drops at like 5 in the morning, and it's like, it's at noon, perfect. So
it is a screw job for the rest of the world, pretty much. You guys on the Western, on the Pacific time zone, and us on the East, it's not that bad. We can usually adjust one way or another,
right?
But other countries, I feel for them. I had a guy yesterday. I was chatting with him. I don't usually entertain these kinds of discussions, but the dude was so pissed. He missed out on the throwdown packs by like 400 or something like that. And he lives somewhere where he stayed up the entire night and he's got work in 2 hours, and he stayed up for a rebound pack. And if you saw some of these rebound packs, man, I'm telling you, almost every moment in there, unless you got something good, it was worth like $2 or $3. And it's like, I feel for you, man, because it's, the line sometimes takes forever, right? It's like,
the line pause is the worst.
It's the worst, man.
Yeah.
So he was all pissed off because he had to go to work in 2 hours. He hadn't slept yet because obviously you can't go to sleep. You'll miss your turn, right? It's not like it buys the pack for you or anything like that.
And sometimes line, like I've tried to time it out, and like I was like, it's going like, 1,000 every like 5 minutes. So like I was like, I can take a walk, and then I'm sitting there walking, and like on one of my walks, and I just happened to glance at my phone. It's like, you're next. I was like, what?
Yeah,
like,
that's
all
right.
of a sudden, like the line's just like, well, now it's running smoothly.
On
the show, we've had a couple of the artists from the NFT space, all of which have been featured on Nifty Gateway. I enjoy that element more. like as the art is kind of different. But what we're finding is it's so secretive. Like, people, I just don't quite get, like, I think his stuff is cool, but like $70 million cool, like,
yeah.
it's kind of crazy. And then yet he's early. But we've had Micah Johnson on, the former baseball player, and he's got his coup vision. And I bought a bunch of his stuff. And if you really have to research and find out about like the future of his project. So for me, I kind of like the art space even more so because I can bet on the artist. And once you've kind of talked, and especially that's why this vehicle is so great, doing a podcast, is like you can kind of get answers to your questions, the visions that they have, and it's their own kind of company. Whereas like the bigger stuff, the Dapper, the Lava, like I can't talk to anybody. Like in January, it's like we're in Discord talking to Alan and Usman, like buddies, like
that's right.
All of a sudden, it's like you can't get in touch with them, and those two guys are great. Like, fortunately, I can still contact them and stuff. But it's like,
have you bought their NFTs or what?
No.
Did you see that? We had those guys on our show, man. They're a riot, those two guys. The guys that dropped the NFTs of LG had his own NFT, and so did Usman and Roham, and it's pretty wild, man. Those are wild. I still haven't bought any. I told them I would, and I have to, just because I want to support them. But yeah, you're right, man. The artist stuff is awesome. I think it's really cool. I really do. I want to get into that stuff. I haven't yet, but I really wanted to.
Well, but it's such a crapshoot. Like, there'll be, Paris Hilton drops her stuff, and I was kind of like, man, this is a celebrity, grab. And then some of her pieces like double, tripled on secondary right away, but then I get like a Steve Aoki, and I thought, this guy's as close to a celebrity artist as you could be.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, like my piece is crap, and like it was a pack drop, and I paid $2,000 for it. And it's like, I can maybe get half that from it.
Yeah.
And so there's just no real, it's not something you can just walk into. I rely on Linux for all that stuff. Linux reading, and he understands it. And we got into an argument about crypto, and I was like, I just can't wrap my head around crypto. He's like, well, how much time have you actually spent on trying to learn it? And I was like, it's like me learning Mandarin, I can be on the app like all day long, and it's still not going to make sense, So
I feel the same way. That's why I'm sticking to what I'm into now, and I'm trying not to get too off course for now. But I mean, we're looking at covering different things. So I always make an original investment in every project, especially the sports stuff. I'll say like I'll spend a couple $100 and that's it, and I'll see where it takes me. The MotoGP one. Again, like I said, UFC, I'm still waiting for. No idea what's going on there. There's a few others, but like I'm interested to see what happens when the NFL comes in and how they roll it out, because Topps has their project right now, which is baseball. But you realize real quick that digital cards are not like Moments. Moments is a little bit different. Right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
The digital cards, you don't even know what game that's from. You're like, dude, they just took a picture of the guy in one of the 180 games they play a year. And we don't even know what game that is. Is that the game he hit 3 home runs? Is that the game, the home opener? What is it? We don't know. It's just a picture of the player, right?
Yeah, so, they kind of ate it. Baseball, I think, I'm not a baseball fan anyways. So whatever I have to say about it is pretty negative. But it's like it seems like baseball does a lot of things wrong, and they take way too long to adopt anything, I think basketball is the most cutting edge, NFL would be interesting. The only problem with NFL is you talk about a sport, like if you don't get Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, forget it. Like
that's right.
Because as great as Pat Mahomes, is, if he blows out his knee and never plays again, we will not ever talk about him.
The legacy's not there yet. LG says this all the time. He says that invest in guys in TopShot that have a legacy, that no matter what happens, their legacy is done with. It's built, right? Great piece of advice from him when I first started, because I was getting excited about making stupid purchases on guys that really don't matter. They're just kind of moment guys, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, all those guys. Is like, you're right. They're one injury away or something else happening from them being absolutely nobody, really, and not being worth a crap. So
I sold all of my rookies, and
yeah,
I was like, because they're just not like, I think LaMelo is going to be an all-star. I think Anthony Edwards, and there's going to be some, whether it's like Patrick Williams or Denny from the Wizards, like there's going to be those guys that become all-stars that you don't know, but there's 64 of them. And,
a lot, man.
55 of them are going to, have a cup of tea in the NBA and be gone, it's just how it is. It's
interesting.
You go back 96 draft,
That's it. But either way, you go back, Jason, look at any draft in the NBA and you look at the first round and you can only pick like 4 or 5 guys in that first round, no matter what year it is, that actually became decent players. Let alone all-stars.
The key is decent.
It's crazy.
Like
Exactly.
just stayed in the league.
It's nuts, man. It really is. So that shows you all this hype around rookies. If you go back and look, all the guys who had a lot of hype in their first year, the Sadiq Bays and stuff is like, is he going to be relevant in 5 years? Probably not, because guess what? There's a whole new crew of rookies coming next year, and that hype will start around those guys.
Andrew Wiggins is a number 1 draft pick, and he's a starter in the NBA. Yeah. If he was out right now, like he'd have 1,000, or however much. But yeah, I like, there was part of me, especially when LaMelo was going crazy, on his base, 4K, and I was just like, should I get one? Should I get one? Yeah. And I was like, then I started thinking, I was like, well, shit, it's like, what was it, like 3K at one point?
Yeah.
Do I really think that it's going to be 10,000, in the next year or two? And in February 21st, I was. March 21st, not so much.
That's right. Yeah. How crazy is that when you look back, man, what those guys were worth? Even Vince Carter, I almost dove in because I'm such a big Vince Carter fan, and it's the only moment he may ever have on Top Shot, right? So I wanted it so bad. It's such a great moment. It's his last shot ever. And, for everything Vince Carter was known for, he was known for dunks. Yeah. And what does he do is they gave him a free path. And what does he do? He pulls up for a 3-pointer. It's like, what? Right? Like, why did you throw one down, man? You could have threw it down one last time, but it's still a beauty because he makes it, right?
Yeah.
What a way to go out. And he's so popular still around Toronto that, I grew up watching Vince Carter. Guys like Tristan Thompson, all that, always say that they're only in the NBA because they were used to watch Vince Carter and go play in their driveway in Canada. Because there were no Canadian players back in the day, man.
Yeah.
Now they're everywhere.
It's safe to say that if Vince Carter had not gone, and who knows who you would have gotten, but like, I don't think if you had kept Antoine Jameson instead,
that's right. That's right.
And then, that happened in Vancouver, right? Like the Grizzlies didn't work out, and so there might not be any Canadian basketball. I'm surprised there's no team in Mexico, like how do we not have a team in Mexico City?
That's right.
But I've been to Toronto. I ate dinner at the CN Tower.
Nice.
And, totally touristed up. And it was funny because like we were downtown and it was packed. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And it was a Maple Leafs game.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what are all these people? Hockey?
You should see when they win a playoff series. I'm sorry. Let me recheck. When the Maple Leafs win a playoff game, it looks like the Raptors. I don't know if you saw the Raptors parade when they won the championship. There was like millions of people. It looks like that downtown Toronto when the Leafs win a single playoff game. And it's been like that since I was a kid. There's such a desire to win in this city because for the Leafs, it's been since 67, right? They haven't even been to the finals since 67. And hockey is everything here. Like the Greater Toronto Hockey League has about 80 players in the National Hockey League right now that played in the minor hockey league that's in the city, right?
Wow.
So that doesn't surprise me that you ran into that. And it's been 17 years this year since they won a playoff series. So there's a good chance they do win a playoff series this year. And if that does happen, the city might burn down, even though everybody here is on a mandatory stay-at-home order. Still to this day,
still locked down. Like,
I don't know what's going on, man. At first, we were laughing at Americans. We're like, man, what the hell is going on down there? And now the U.S. government's putting out advisories against Americans traveling to Canada, the like war zone of COVID. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's you know what? It's different. It's all politics, man. It's tough to see. It really affects everybody because you're not even allowed to go play basketball. Like they've removed the nets and the rims. They did that here.
They just added them back this week.
It's crazy, man, because it's like it's outdoors. Just let the kids play. That's the way I see it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. A lot of kids, like my son, is so heavy into sports that he went from 6 out of 7 days a week playing high level sports to nothing because you're not even allowed to go to the field and play or whatever it is. Right? It's crazy, man. So yeah, if the Leafs ever win that playoff series, I can promise you that whoever enforces this stay at home is going to have a lot of problems.
So a little fun fact, because I know that you guys have teased people for not knowing Canadian just pop culture or topics or anything. In my freshman year of college, which was 99, with the original PlayStation, my favorite NHL team to play was the Maple Leafs with Sundin, Cujo, Tybalt. I'll butcher their names, but that whole like 99 hockey team, I remember them all. Before that, it was the Avalanche, and that was like Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg.
That's right.
But then I like Matt Sundin, like he would have like 300 goals in the season or something nuts. So that was my go-to.
That's pretty good, actually. What we try and get people usually, and we've actually talked to a few WNBA players and NBA players and asked them which players in the NBA are Canadian. They never know, man. Like they don't even know that Jamal Murray's Canadian. They don't know that. Like it's wild, right? But it is a movement now in Canada. You're seeing more and more Canadian players, which is why I was so excited for the Olympics this summer, because Canada was finally going to have a team that can compete at a high level. With SGA, Wiggins was willing to play for Canada for the first time. He's never played for Canada. He's always said no for whatever reason. Guys like that.
RJ Barrett.
Right? RJ Barrett, SGA, Andrew Wiggins, Jamal Murray, Kelly Olynyk would be the big man, I guess. Brandon Clark, Dylan Brooks. The list goes on. Lou Dort, man. Lou Dort's a warrior out there. He could play defense on anybody, right? So
it's always weird in the Olympics because like obviously like Spain, you have the Gasol brothers, Rubio, and then there's a couple of like high level European players on that squad. And then like for whatever reason, Croatia, Serbia, like they always end up having like some kind of squad coming out of there. But like you just listed a whole NBA starting lineup, whereas other teams don't have that.
That's right.
They have like two or three.
That's right.
And a lot of times it's like, that's what made when Tony Parker won with France, that's what made that so big when they won the European Cup. And that was such a big deal for him because he was legit like the only guy in the NBA on that squad.
And now look at France. They could probably also field an entire starting lineup from the NBA. It's nuts, man. And Canada's always been that team where there's like one NBA guy, it's Steve Nash, and that's it. Right? So it is exciting times. That's why the Murray injury was like so devastating for me. I was so looking forward to seeing a backcourt, with Murray and SGA and RJ Barrett. I was like, man, this is a real team, and they'll play USA, and they might even give them problems, right? But tough luck on that. And I actually can't. I mean, I know TopShot doesn't have the license for Olympics, and we'll probably never see any moments from the Olympics. Mm-hmm. But I always figured that if a team like Canada went off and those players went off, because a guy like SGA, he can't really do much in the NBA. He's on a team, that's rebuilding and stuff like that. But that may have been an opportunity to really put his name out there for people to see. And if ever you got to win over USA or another one of the big countries, you never know, right? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we have in store. I think it's exciting for Canada. I'm telling you, people here are really stoked. But none of these guys play for the Raptors except like Chris Boucher. Those are the Canadian guys we have. We've never really had a Canadian star on this team. So
I mean, Jamal Murray's Steve Nash is the godfather, but like Jamal Murray is probably going to be right there at number 2 if he bounces back. But I really believe, I'm a Duke fan, so I really have always bought into RJ Barrett. One, he's way younger than anybody realizes. Like, I think he just turned 20. Second year in the league. Like he's like I will not. I'm comparing him to Kobe, but not basketball wise. But like Kobe was 17 when he got drafted and couldn't sign his own deal. Like
That's
RJ
right.
is kind of like on that youth level. I really hope that he becomes what he's supposed to come. And finally, for a Duke guy that, for years,
Oh yeah.
mostly 90s, it was like, great college players don't have any pros. And now, RJ, Zion, Tatum, Kyrie, even though Kyrie was there for 6 games, we
That's right.
count him. So,
yeah, no, for RJ, it's funny because his dad, Rowan Bear, is a big shot in the Basketball Canada program, and he's been like the director of whatever. And he was like a star on Canada's team, but he was always that star that didn't play in the NBA. So we knew his dad from being that like journeyman guy.
And Steve Nash is RJ's godfather.
That's right. Because of that, because they played on the national team for so long, they were like best friends. And now we've come full circle with that. So. But to be honest, it doesn't even look like the Olympics may happen. So all this hype and all this talk, it's heading in the wrong direction, man. I'm telling you. I saw a news report this morning where, the people of Japan now are saying, well, if you're not letting anyone into this country, how are you going to have Olympics and stuff like that, right? So we're getting close too. So I don't know what they're going to do. It'll be disappointing because I thought it would be a nice little continuation to the basketball season. Have the finals kind of almost simultaneously with when that tournament starts, and then it follows, and then we're already into next season. Because it does worry me a little bit with TopShot, what they're going to do in the off season, but I don't know. I guess they have that hard court thing planned. Who knows, man?
Well, they released the Shaquille and they'll run it back, and that.
That's right.
That's
Allen Iverson.
Nah, Shaq.
But that'll bring people, though. That'll bring people.
Yeah. That's what we always say is like, whenever they drop a Kobe or Michael Jordan, it'll break the internet, like, I mean, that those are the two. And fortunately, Jordan's, a part of TopShot now. So
that's right.
Eventually that's going to come about, I would assume. But, keep it keep it in the pocket, do not put a Kobe Jordan thing out this year. Please, God.
No. And do not release tens of thousands of them, please. No. I don't care if I don't end up getting one, but give me a shot at getting one and keep it exclusive. I'm begging of you. Don't make 250K Kobe's or Michael Jordan whenever that happens. Keep it really, really low. Give everyone a shot to get one. I don't know, man. Something exciting. Because as much as we complain, whenever I strike out. It's because there weren't enough, and it's more of an exclusive thing. Like even the rares they just released now. That's a lot of packs yesterday, right? For a rare for me, rare would be like, maybe there's 10,000 packs max. There were 80,000 packs yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like
1,800 is that's not rare.
No, it's not rare. That's
100. Like the hollow packs, and that's what's crazy too is like even the hollows, are sub $1,000 now.
Yeah, that's right. And the metallic golds are like, I'm like, hold on a second. There's 299 of these, and I own one. And how the hell are they under $500? There's only 299 of them.
I bought a Montrezl Harrell Series 1 gold for 150, and just because like he's got my same last name, there's debate that we might be related. We grew up 10 minutes apart. So
wow.
Anyways, I bought it, as a fan and for silly reasons, non-investment reasons. And then during that pump, it went crazy high, and then I kept trying to sell it. And now I finally sold it for like 450, something around there. And, still a good return, but like at one point it was like going for like over 1,000. And now it's probably like $200, and there's only 300, and it's,
I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Same with the Jamal Murray. I'm like, I have one of 167. That's it.
I think the thing is when we all got in, one, like especially in January, like packs were kind of hard to come by, right. but we saw something and it was fun. And like, I've probably invested at least 20,000-25,000,
right.
Like real dollars,
right.
But I was okay. Like, I was like, like I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm cool with spending. There's not a lot of people like, that guy that I told you about, when he spent $10,000 and bought those moments, he instantly was like in the top 15 probably even top 10% of Top Shot collectors, and that shouldn't be the case. Like,
right. Yeah.
The fact that I'm in like top 0.2 is ridiculous. Like,
right. Yeah,
so
I get it. I see that too. So for sure.
yeah, the low end, and that's, I have a text group, and all those guys, they call it diaper money. They're just buying packs, trying to flip, and turn it into real dollars, and have no real interest in like collecting. But there has been the social element, because we couldn't play on our rec team, that now we're connected and we're getting to like kind of bond over it. But they have no intentions of, let me spend 10,000 on this LeBron.
Yeah, no chance. No, I agree. Yes. The problem is everyone I brought in, Jason, was like during the high, because they were seeing what I was doing. And so everybody came in with high expectations, and they're not necessarily big collectors. So now they're just like, what is this crap? Right? Like, this is garbage, And but at the same time, every time they get a pack, they get to flip it for more money. So it's like, I'm like, there's no way you can be complaining about that. Right. But yesterday was kind of,
the first time
kind of giving us a taste of what may be to come. And a lot of the big collectors see that as maybe a good thing, where, all the little money flippers or money, looking to make a quick get rich quick and all that are starting to kind of leave. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
we'll see. But if that's the case, though, you can't continue to make gazillions of each moment. And I will say this, for as bad as the Topps product has been at times, with the MLB project they're doing, the opportunity to burn moments is fantastic, because it allows collectors to burn moments that are never coming back. And that lowers the mint size to where if everybody burns their Zubac, by 2 years from now, there may only be 100 of them left. And that might make them a lot more exclusive. But
so what happens when they burn them? Like, what's the advantage for them burning them
I don't know. I have no clue why. I've looked at some of them and they've been burned, because it tells you how many have been burned. And there'll be like a random card that was burned like 8 times, and it wasn't part of any challenge. I'm like, what's wrong with these people? Like, who sat there and said, good riddance, I don't like you, burn, right? So maybe they had too many of them or something. They got 2 of them in a pack. I don't know. Or they don't know what they're doing. They just like to press the burn button and see if I think there was a lot of confusion as to how the crafting whole thing with Topps works, where you burn those cards to get a special pack. I think people were like, oh, if I burn 5, any 5, I'm getting the pack. So there's a little confusion there, but it's really cool, because say 800 people burn their card and there's only 2,000 of them, that instantly makes that card only a 1,200 minted moment now. You know what I mean? Right. So it's pretty cool, man. And it makes it more exclusive to own one. So like I said, there's all these new moments coming out of 35,000. I mean, in 5 years, like you said, who the hell cares unless you have like a top 5 serial? But even there, I wouldn't care if I have a number 20.
I actually think the serial goes, like, in longevity, actually means way less.
Right.
Like in even the jersey number, like,
right.
I think that was a creation of like the early guys, and now
it is.
But at the same time, it's like Luka number 77. That doesn't, like, I'm not into the numerology stuff as much. Like,
no, there's some hardcores into that stuff, man. Like, buying the year of birth for every player, and area codes, and zip codes, all sorts of nonsense like that. You're
only hoping to sell it to a different version of yourself. But like, you want a top 10, obviously, and number 1 would be great. But like anything 10, like, I don't think I think the only thing that, and the reason why I will serial number chase and pay a little bit of a premium is simply whenever I want to liquidate it and I can list it for the floor, and my 3-digit serial trumps the 4 digits. And then I don't have to wait, and price appropriate.
You don't have to undercut. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've done that. I've undercut. I tell you, if I undercut anything and people see my username, I get the craziest messages. Another one of those, like, what do you think you're doing? Why are you doing this? I'm like, because I want to sell it and I want to buy something else. That's why I'm doing it. So
I list almost the vast majority of my stuff. I'll list for $1 under.
Yeah.
And undercut the lowest, just so that it pops up and then you can see it. Cause like, my thought is, it's, if, say it's $100 moment, but it's a 3-digit serial, and like, I should make it $120. Like, do I really want it to sit for like a week until someone like sees it? You know?
That's right. Exactly. I agree with that. No, absolutely. I can't sit. I do not sit there with things for sale. I just don't. If you look at my account, there's never anything for sale. If I really want to sell something, I'll put it up for a price that I know it will sell. And that's it, man. I move on. I can't stand going in my moments section and having all these things for sale. I see it all the time on other people, right? I'm like, I don't like the look of it. I just don't like that little green for sale sign. And if I sell with a purpose. I'm not just trying to fish. But if I was to ever get a number one cereal, it's sad to say this, but I'd be more excited for the fact that I can probably sell it for a lot than the fact that I got the number one cereal. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, of course.
It's not a collector thing when you get a number one cereal, or, you know, they keep saying that we only want collectors here, but that aspect of it is just like, obviously, if I get a number one, I'll be seeing who wants to pay big dollars for it. I don't care who it is. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. That's the way. Good thing we have Dingling.
And I'll sell it off market.
That's right. Which is another big no-no in their books, right? So, but yeah,
but see, here's the thing: if that was such a big no-no, then why is Dingling allowed to do? If you look at,
that's right.
He bought $1.5 million worth of moments from Pransky, and you can see his live token, like it's just gift. You know, obviously, I know. But
yes,
that double-edged. You know, the double standard, if you will.
Wow, like, that gets attention. So, you know, that's different.
You know,
but
so that's okay. But, you know, I want to sell you.
Have you ever talked to Dingling?
No, I just heard the LG robot.
Okay, but hold on. I've always said, is this guy real? LG's like, yeah, we got him on the pod. I listened to the pod. Did you hear the pod? Like, come on, man.
What was LG recording his own voice? Like
what is this, man? I mean, it's cool though. I mean, I do like the mystery aspect because this guy's like an enigma, man. He's buying all these number ones. He's got gazillions of dollars to spend, obviously, right? And he's diving into all sorts of stuff. I know people that are like, I've been buying all the number ones I can, and just for the sole purpose of reselling them to Dingling for more money, right? Like I know a guy who sold about 11 of them. He just got to them first and resold them for like $5,000 more than what he got them from, just because Dingling is actually buying whatever you hit him up with. He's buying it, right? If you send him a DM or a message and say, hey, I've got the number one, whatever, he'll go and buy it, man. That's what I've seen so far. So I'd love to see a real person behind that account because a lot of conspiracy theories out there. And I was so excited when LG said I got him on the pod and we got an interview. And then I turned that on. He's got like the robot voice, the bank robber voice.
First of all, in this world that we're living in now, like anonymity, you know, if you really want to find out who this guy is, like, or anybody, like you could do it, you know, if someone really wanted to kind of expose them, you know, so it's like, I kind of think it's like, it's a little silly, you know, like, you know, I know like Wade's won't show his face.
That's true. I've never seen Wade's either. You're right.
You know, but like in his business, you know, like again, like I get it. Just like we talked about, like Kevin Durant having burner accounts and stuff. Yeah. You know, it was my background. I came from like, I was a professional poker player for like 7 years.
Nice.
And there was this guy named Isildur, and he was like this 19-year-old Swedish kid that started with $100, and within like 2 or 3 months was playing in the nosebleed, high stakes, heads up. And especially back then, this is like 10 years ago, talk about being totally anonymous on like Poker Stars or Full Tilt, you know?
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then it was like this big reveal because he showed up to a WPT. First of all, he couldn't play in a lot of events because he was only 19, you know? So like there was even rumors like, it's like, well, he's probably not even 19. He might be like 14, you know? And then he finally he finally made his appearance like at some German WPT, and some Swedish, you know, skinny 19-year-old kid looked like a surfer and, you know, just annihilated everybody. But then they figured him out poker wise. Anyways, the anonymity thing it'd be interesting to know who he was, you know, and then if he disappears, like,
that's what I'm saying.
You know,
like I said, if I get a number one, I know who I'm hitting up if I really want to negotiate something, or if I want to see if I can unload it, because he's just eating them up, man. I saw the percentage of number ones he owns, their jersey numbers, and it is insane, man. So I think just for clarity, I mean, people want to see that it's a real person and not like Top Shot just doing their own. You know what I mean? Right? I don't like conspiracy theories, but it's like the whole story with the bots and people saying that Top Shot has their own bots, which I wouldn't blame them. I mean, it's a way to keep the market moving, and who knows, right? The speculations on that I don't get into because I know nothing about that stuff, right? But we have all these crazy people who always reach out to us who claim to have like the craziest of information, and they want us to put it out there, but we don't ever do it unless we can, validate what they're saying. Yeah. But it gets you thinking, man, when you hear these things, like someone's really pissed, they're telling us they did this for Top Shot, did that, and they're doing this for that. And it's just like, wow, who knows? Why are they coming to us? They would think we'll put it out there, but we're not here to take Top Shot down. We don't work with Top Shot. This is what people don't understand. They're like, oh, wow, you guys are always pumping stuff. And, you guys are their little minions pumping this, pumping that. No. We're genuinely excited for what we pump. It's not, we're not getting paid we're not even affiliated with Top Shot in any point, but we're also not here to tear them down. We'll critique when we have to, but the big secrets, you can put them out there. We're not putting that out there.
So I'm curious. We had Plunge Father on, and
I didn't see that. I got to watch that. I didn't see that one.
He was early on, and I'm curious, like, what was your introduction to the Plunge Father, as we've come to know? Because he's such a great character. Yeah, but he's really smart to do too, and it's just like you talk about like that culmination, the team first mint. You guys don't do the live show as much anymore, but like he was definitely an entertaining thing. And then of course his run in with Crypto Babe and stuff.
Oh yeah, that was a big hit, and people were super pissed when we skipped like a week where she didn't come on, and B when we ended her segment like WWE style, where but the reason we did that, Jason, is because I mean, just like all the other people we brought on, if you bring them on every week, it'll eventually get old, right?
Right.
There'll be nothing cooler than when we secretly bring back Crypto Babe in like a year, maybe with a new big boyfriend and Plunge, I don't know, who knows, right? We like to have a bit of fun with that. But Plunge was like, it's funny because Plunge was, when I first met him, is we used to always get into it on the air. Like we got into it so many times, but it was kind of a playful getting into, right? It wasn't really anything serious. We just clashed on different things, and he was such a wild card, man. His audio never worked, and he's in the dungeon, and he's just so funny, man. I had never met anybody like that with his, and even where he lives, like he's on like some kind of big land, and it almost looks like a farm or something. He's in the middle of Wisconsin, and it's such a good character, and he's still part of the First Mint family. But the way we felt with Plunge and LG had the conversation was that Plunge needs his own platform. He just does, right? And he is thriving in his own platform. Like he really is, man. He's doing so well. His Twitch streams have all sorts of subscriptions and people signing up and all that. It's a real big party. And the shows with us wasn't enough for Plunge. He just needed a full 3 hours by himself with his own production.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I told him that in this, you can go back and watch, and like the first, I want to say he was probably like episode like 5-ish, 5 or 6. And I said to him, I was like, bro, like you got like, you're doing a great job on the First Mint, but you got to look out for yourself too.
Oh yeah.
As I saw it coming, like, you guys were going to branch out and be something bigger. And it's like, not that you would ditch them, but like, you can't depend on them just kind of pulling you along. You don't want to be Baba Booey at Howard Stern. You know what I mean? That's
right. No, for sure. And we saw it that way too, right? Yeah.
And do your own thing. And then you kept, like every great talk show radio, like Dan Patrick has Shay and Irving. I don't know if you watch Dan Patrick.
Yeah. No, I do. Yes.
But like every Monday morning, Shay and Irving would call, and he's got his own character, and he's like a degenerate gambler in Texas. Well, now Shay and Irving's got his own podcast that he's created just from being
there. You go, character.
Man. But he still pops in, gives his bad beats because he gambles a lot and loses a lot, And then
that's the same with Plunge. He's still around. He's still very much part of the First Mint. Just not on when the live show does come back, which is extremely soon. He won't have his regular spot on the show, but that's not because he's been booted or anything like that. It's because he's built his brand to the point where people want more of him and him alone and all his chaos that comes with it, right? But I'll miss him for sure, man, because the interactions we had were, it's always a lot of back and forth. I used to make fun of him all the time, and he'd fire right back, and we'd get into it. The crypto babe thing was pretty cool too, man. She's very, very talented in terms of not just what she sells and all that, but her behind the scenes. She's a very interesting person that has a lot of talent in design and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting.
Did you ever get a crypto babe pack?
No, never. No. People ask me this all the time. They're like, "Hey, we know she gives you some. Can we see them?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm telling you, man, I did not get a crypto babe pack. We never got one. We never asked for one. We just
totally for research purposes, just to see like her artistic creativity, you know."
But she's actually outside of that, which is a whole other story, because that's a whole new platform. If people are using this as like an OnlyFans now, and I mean, hey, this is like groundbreaking stuff, man. She was the pioneer of this whole thing, pretty much, right?
OnlyFans became the new Mary Kay during the pandemic.
Yeah,
like, every housewife, it's like work from home, make money. You know, like, get people underneath you to shout you out. Like it's totally an MLM, except you get naked. You know.
Yeah. So. But she, I'm telling you, man, and I was on a UFC podcast with a former UFC or a current MMA fighter, but a former UFC fighter. And it was a French podcast. And when we brought this up, he went ballistic. He couldn't believe that this was happening, this kind of stuff. But I said, don't just buy into what you see. We've gotten to know her a bit outside of what she does. And she is fantastic at graphic design. And she even released her own NFTs that weren't of her. She released that baller thing there that she designed on her own. So very, very talented on top of what she does.
Bro, Los Angeles is kind of known for being the porn capital.
Yeah, that's right.
and I've met a number of actresses, if you will. Yeah. And I was talking to this one. I met her during the pandemic, and I was like, you've got to explain to me this OnlyFans thing, because it's basically like a paid subscription Instagram.
That's right.
And she was like, she's like, I basically make 10, 15,000. Now she's a very popular actress. She's actually from Canada, but she makes like 10, 15,000. She's like, I post like new pictures like once a week, and it
crazy, man.
And she's like, it's just another source of income. But like, she was just breaking down like the website and then the social media and then like all these different streams of income. And it's like, it's not 1980s anymore where like these women, were like vilified, and it's like, oh, it's so sad, they're drug addicts, they're this and that. There's some legit entrepreneurs in this space that are killing.
Why not, man? Absolutely. So, and you saw with Crypto Babe, she never shows her face.
Yeah.
She does not show her face. Nobody knows who she really is. She has her own life, doing whatever she wants, and she's on this platform, extremely popular. But yeah, I don't have any packs to crack open her. We don't have it. We never asked her, because that was not our relationship with her. It was never about that. It was always.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like so funny, because I've seen enough naked women and naked pictures. I legit want to. My thought is just like, is it like a picture? Like, what's your music like?
Hey, a lot of people have gotten those packs, whether it be giveaways or bought them. There's a ton of people out there, and we never hear from them. We've never heard. No one's ever told us. No one's ever kind of reported back. When she does giveaways, you see like thousands of likes and retweets and all that. Somebody's getting these things, but it was a fun storyline we've had with Plunge. It was very, very popular, and there was like a specific fan club for that. People who were super pissed when we stopped it. But we got better stuff coming. So that's just, you got to keep it fresh. You know what I mean? You got to keep it interesting. And back to the subject of Plunge, he's doing his thing, and he's actually doing really well, and we fully support him too. Right. And he's not done with the first minute. Like anytime I do something live, he comes on anyways. Right. He jumps in and throws in his 2 cents. He loves being part of any discussion. He does put in a ton of work in the platform, right? So the people of the First Mint are fantastic, and LG has always had kind of the saying that if somebody gets hired somewhere else because of the work they've done for the First Mint, he'll be the happiest person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a good thing for them. They've done some good work for the First Mint. Now they can flap their wings. They've made something out of it. A lot of the people like, the people that have been on board with the First Mint, like Greg Burry and all those people, they started kind of with only like 500 followers. And most of them are at like 10 to 15 now because of the work they've done, which is when you get other opportunities, because people have noticed and they'll be approached by other people, right? And LG's always been on the wavelength of, hey, that's totally okay. We'd be super sad to lose you. But if this is a better opportunity for you somewhere else, then so be it.
Well, and right? It's smart on his part too, because, you send someone and then maybe they go to like the next level.
Right.
But then they move up. And then, that I love Joe Rogan. I mean, in how he's built up, it's the bootlegging. Like he builds up these other comedians, gets them to have podcasts. He doesn't have to do it, but other like the other comedians will be on each other's. If you look at his circle, it's always the same guest popping from each other's podcast, and then they all have it, and then it builds, and all tides rise, or all boats rise with the tide. And I love it. Like I said, like my background, I spent 7 years as a sportscaster, and then I came to LA, got into poker, spent 7 years doing that. And since then I've kind of just run businesses or created businesses, but I've always had this journalism background, and I love talking to people, and like we could end up, we'll wrap it up here in a bit, but like I could just do this like all day long, and like it's funny, like I keep bringing up weights, but like me and him would record like an hour and a half, and then when we'd hit stop, we'd still talk for like, he'd be like, oh yeah, and he's in Australia.
I'm familiar with that. We do that quite a bit, man.
Yeah, and it's my intention when I saw what Luke was doing, because I felt I was like, there's going to be a podcast that's going to be the go-to podcast for NBA TopShot.
Right.
And it was Luke. And then I think the Burn was around the same time, or on the Mint.
That's right. That's right.
I think we were all I was probably the last one, but it's not like you guys were like, it was like 1 or 2 episodes ahead of me. And I just, from the very beginning, I was like, I just want to do my own little, like, talk show. Like, I don't want to be the guy that has the updates, and the office notes or any of that. I was like, I just want to talk to the people that are doing the stuff.
It's weird because I'm kind of the same way. And I always say what Luke does with the First Mint, I don't know if I could do all of that. That's so much invested time that I'm the same as you, man. This is why I do the live shows. And I know for sure he wishes I could contribute more in terms of the writing and all that, because I do have a pretty big writing background. I used to write a ton of sports articles for local papers here and stuff like that. I have the same journalism background as you, man. That's what I went to school for. This is what I was born to do. But I feed off of these interactions and being on live shows and having fun with people and talking to the people, which is why when the First Mint tweets something, you'll usually see me in the replies answering everybody, because I love talking to people, man. That's my thing, right? So that's the aspect that I bring to them. I wish I could contribute more, but I do have a 9 to 5, so it's a little tough, right? I don't have, the time, and I do have 2 kids as well. So that's they are older, but it's still a lot of work, right? It's especially when the city's not shut down and we're active. I don't think I'm ever home, so I don't know what I would do. It's actually a good opportunity now. This is the first time since they've been 5 years old that I have any kind of time to do anything.
Oh, so I mean, how many times? Right? Like during the pandemic, it's like, why didn't this come in March, April of 2020?
That's right.
When we had nothing to do and we could all be in it, and people were scared about money too. Like, so it wouldn't be like this gold rush, Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But, man. Yeah. I actually, in the beginning of the pandemic, when we were completely locked down, I was literally just listening to audiobooks, and I went through about 250 during the pandemic lockdown.
That is wild. 250. Wow, man.
I 2x the speed on the audio, and I would just sit at home, like playing Dr. Mario and just listening to books. And because I went through Netflix in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's right.
I
know. I did the same, man. I'm not anywhere near it now. I think I've seen everything. So
yeah. So well, finally we got hopefully you guys get something open. If not, just fly down to America. The
we
movie
can't, man. We can't fly down to
can't even
America.
fly? Wow.
No, you can, but when you come back, have you heard this hotel thing they've got going on? Where
You
you
got
have
to
to
quarantine a hotel?
you got to go to the government's quarantine hotel and
Oh,
spend $2,000 or $3,000 for 3 nights. And all of us, and yeah, but here's the funny thing: there's like tens of thousands of flights coming in every day, and there's only 2 quarantine hotels. So I'm like, where the hell's everybody going, man? Is anybody actually following this thing? I don't think so. Because if you don't follow it, you may get a ticket of $700. Think of the logic there.
yeah.
$2,000 for the 3-night stay, or your chances with a $700 ticket that may never make it to the court. Right?
Did you get the vaccine? Have you guys gotten that?
So here's a funny story. In Canada right now, they're still vaccinating first dose like 50, 60-year-olds, whatever we're at. Okay? Yeah. The percentage in Canada that's had both doses is like 2-3%, something like that. Maybe a bit higher now. I don't know. A good example, my father-in-law, who's in his 80s, he got his first dose back in March, and his next dose is at the end of July. Okay. So you're thinking, hold on, I'm not anywhere near 80. When is the second dose going to be for me? Right. So apparently I live in a hot spot. So we got a bit of a rush on it. And there was an opportunity. I joined a vaccination drop a couple of weeks ago where they said 9 a.m. We're going to have like 300 spots. Go to this link here, 18 plus, all ages, like a nightclub advertisement.
Yeah.
For a dose of vaccine. So I went on the site, full crash. All right. My mom was trying to get me one too at the same time, even though she doesn't live in the area, but she had all my details. She was going to try. The site crashes. I'm spamming the refresh button like 1,000 times. Finally, it lets me choose. I get in and I grab an appointment. So I did get my first dose finally, man, but I'm way ahead of a lot of people because if you're not in a hot spot, they're still only vaccinating like 60, 70-year-olds here for a shot. So we're nowhere near the end here, man. It's really depressing, but I'm glad I have things like this, to be honest with you, to keep us going. But I'm a lucky one. Not everybody has things like this, and it's really unfortunate, to be honest. I
got the vaccine here in LA. They just had this crazy announcement. Someone sent it to me that they had this surplus of vaccines.
There you go.
You could do it. So I drove to the Forum, and 30 minutes, I got my shot. I got the Johnson & Johnson 1-shot deal.
Are you serious? Wow,
2 days later, my mom is calling me frantic.
Oh, shit.
People are dying. I was like 7 people, women died.
Yeah.
And they're recalling it. Are you okay?
Yeah.
So I'm vaccinated. I'm actually flying to Belize this weekend.
Nice, man.
Little getaway trip. But
I'm jealous.
I went to Colombia in November, back when Trump was, in limbo, and so they opened up flights because Colombia opened up, but you didn't have to test or anything. So I snuck down there for like a week and a half, and then Biden got president, and now you had to test before and after.
Oh yeah,
and I was like,
that's right.
There's no fucking way I'm going to be in Belize and test negative and then have to spend 2 weeks, waiting for a positive or whatever it is, the testing. And so I'm vaccinated. I figure that's good enough. We'll see.
Yeah, congrats, man. That's awesome. We don't have the 1 dose here. They did acquire it in Canada, but then they're like, yeah, no, we don't think so. And now what's happening is with some of the vaccines here is they said they won't have enough doses for a second dose of that vaccine. And they're going to have to start mixing the vaccines for the second dose, right? And apparently only 2 countries in the entire world have even tried mixing doses, and there's no result. There's no results yet. So anyone who jumped the gun here at one of those pop-up things is like, shit, I should have waited till they figure this thing out, because it's still a complete disaster here, man. Like it's brutal. This is like our 9th lockdown and it hasn't done anything. Obviously it's not working, right? So we can't even play golf here. You can't play golf. People are losing their minds.
We had there's the Walking Dead, the second one TV series. I didn't watch the first one, but it's the one that starts in LA. And so like someone told me, like I heard it on a podcast and they were talking about, I watched the Walking Dead that started in LA. And I was like, fuck, let me watch this because I live in LA. I'm taking notes because the vaccine's like rolling out in this pandemic. I was like, for sure, this is the year of the zombie apocalypse. Like, let me get my exit route out of LA. It is it's crazy. I've got friends in Europe, lockdown again.
Same thing, man. Yeah.
I don't
I know.
think that we can get, I don't know that America can lock down again. Like, they're probably just going to have to roll with it. I don't even hear about it anymore, to be honest. So,
well, people here are not, I mean, we are in lockdown and mandatory stay at home, but I'll tell you this, when I have a letter of exception for my work where I'm allowed to be out. But as soon as they announce this, every single police force says, yeah, that's nice, but we're not enforcing any of that. We're not stopping cars saying, hey, what are you doing out? If we do stop someone for speeding and you've got 10 people in the car from different households, we'll give them tickets. Right. Yeah. If you're doing illegal parties and all that, but the police forces all say we're not enforcing any of this stuff. So it's a bit tough because the minute they said this, after the government says you're all going to be busted if you leave your house for non-mandatory reasons, and the police is like, yeah, we're not enforcing that. The message is sent to everybody. Okay, all right, screw everything. We'll do what we want. We'll still gather, right? But I mean, people are not listening. I drive to work every day. I'm stuck in major traffic. So I'm just like, okay. This is probably partially why. So if that's the case, and the cases are still the same as they were a while ago, and we're in lockdown, just let it go, man. You know what? Yeah. If you're this is my opinion. I hope it doesn't offend anybody, but to me, I'm not an anti-mask. I'm not anti-COVID, none of that stuff. But I do believe that we're at the stage now where, since none of this is working, man, why not let people do what they want? The ones who are vulnerable, be careful. Okay. Yeah. Until you get both your doses, just chill. The older people stay home. My parents stay home. They do it, man. My parents are super careful. I do see them, but they only do drive-bys and stuff like that, which is fine, which is how it should be, right? But the rest, I mean, you know what? If people want to just get on with their lives, I think it's impacting too many people. It's really bad. Joe Rogan was actually talking about it the other day, man. And what's going on in Canada. He went nuts the other day. Yeah. when he heard what was happening here. He's like, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. No way.
I've been saying what you just said really from the beginning, and it's like, I'm not, I'm kind of a Darwinism, I've been kind of pulling for a black plague for years now. You know, let's eliminate the population, if only it would attack like stupid people, maybe,
that's right.
Maybe I'd be one of them. But, like my grandmother got it. Nothing happened to her. My great uncle got it. He died,
Wow, man.
But he was like 85.
Right. I get it.
And he would be the first to sit there and say, you know what? I had a pretty good run. I survived World War II and all the other stuff. Like, sure, I'm okay. And so, like, my position doesn't change. And, like the masks, it's annoying to me. Like, I don't care. I'm not worried about catching it. I mean, I'm vaccinated solely so I can go travel,
Hi, that's what I said to my buddies. And they're like, really?
Reason. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, man, I need to get out of here. Like, I can't do this. Right. Yeah. And my kids are constantly saying, Dad, take us to California, man. Just please take us to California, anywhere in the US. Well, they love California. That's why they say that. But they're like, can we just go there like now? They keep asking me. They're like, let's just pick up everything and move immediately. I'm like, all right, let me see what I can do.
Well, when you guys are allowed to do that, you come to LA. I've got 3 Airbnbs, walking distance.
Oh, wow, man. Beach. Wow.
So that's my business.
Hey,
so
awesome.
Covered. Yeah.
Very cool, man. I love that. Yeah, I'll take you up on that for sure. They're begging me every day to get out of here. So if I can figure it out work-wise, I'm gonzo.
Yeah, I hear that. I thought, that was, we've had a mass exodus from Los Angeles, and this is the first year the population went down, in forever. And so I thought about leaving because again, I have an Airbnb business, and that first month or two, I lost every reservation for
no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, they all canceled. It came back because then once people were working from home, they might live 30 miles, 40 miles inland. And it's like, well, if I got to stay at home, I might as well take a vacation and be near the beach and work from there. So
exactly, man. That's the way I see it.
I recovered, fairly well and didn't get hurt. But there was definitely that first month I was like, I might have to leave Los Angeles and just, post up somewhere till, start a business somewhere else. But, it's hopefully the summer 2021 will be fruitful.
For you guys, yes. I mean, you're well on your way to a trip, so that's good news. We're very far from being able to do that, but we're going to keep holding out hope. And you know what? It's always easier when summer's around for us because the winter months you're stuck inside. But the summer months, you can still go around, and there's a ton of places. I have never seen the province of Ontario. I've lived here my entire life. And I went to so many places last summer that I had never been to, like gorgeous places. And, I'm not a nature person. I'm a pure city boy, but we were forced to do hikes and stuff like that. And I was just like, wow, this is incredible, man. Stuff I've never seen in my life.
I've never been camping in my life.
Like, I hate camping
I'm
so
not
much.
Outdoors. Like if someone wants to let's go hiking, it has to be somewhere like amazing, like the Grand Canyon. But I got so like bored, and this was when everything was locked down. I drove up the Pacific Coast Highway from LA to Carmel, which is just south of San Fran.
That's
like
beauty.
All those famous photos and stuff of the cliffs, like California. And so I drive all the way up there, and I get there like 2 p.m. It was probably like 6-7 hours. And I got like a lunch, ate it in the park. And then I was like, well, I guess I got to fucking drive back. Like, what am I going to do? Like, stay in a hotel?
No chance.
So I ended up driving back. I drove like 14 hours that day, but it was
crazy,
cool,
man.
because what else am I, like, my whole thing was like, I can sleep all day or all night. I've got nothing to do, and I'm seasoned, so.
No, that's awesome. That's good stuff, man. I still do. I lived in Ohio for a couple of years, and there was really nothing to do there. So I would always drive back home. I know it was 6 or 7 hours. So I'd leave Friday nights after work, drive back to Toronto because it's such a party city. It's such a vibrant city. And then my kids were still here at the time too. So I hadn't moved them there with me when they were really young. So I drive all the way back to Toronto, 6-7 hours after work Friday, leave late Sunday night, back to Ohio, go to work for 5 days, repeat a weekend after. And it was what it was, man. It was, listen, Columbus was a great town if you're hitting the bars and stuff like that. In terms of like around football season with the Ohio State Buckeyes and all that, it was amazing, right?
Yeah.
I'd never experienced being in a town where there's a campus of like 50 to 60,000 students. So the tailgates I was brought to and all that, like a whole new experience for me. But other than that, man, it wasn't too much to do around there. I wasn't into the nature stuff, which there's a ton of nature around there. So I'm like, you know what, screw this. I'm driving back, as much as it's a hassle across the border and keep messing around every weekend. And, it was worth it. I didn't mind it at all. So all good.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I don't know how far we went with our little break, but I know it's been a bit, and don't want to keep you up too late, especially on the East Coast.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm happy we finally got to do it. I feel like,
for sure,
like we're class of January 21.
That's right. We are. Yeah.
And
exactly.
I love what you and Luke are doing with the First Men. I appreciate all your tweets, even when I've just learned to filter a little bit of your speculation for my own portfolio.
That makes sense, man. It is frustrating because there's so many different theories. That's why I was so pissed last week, man. When they decided to postpone Cool Cats, it's like, we've been speculating all week. It's one of the fun things we have right now. It is one of the fun things. I don't give a shit about the actual Cool Cats. I care more about the base moments and the speculation around that and the fun around that. That when we're all waiting for the challenge to drop and we've had these theories for a week, we're ready to be right. We had some really good ones. Right. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, there's no Cool Cats this week. We'll be back next week with something brand new, like screw off. Like, come on, man. And then I hear showcase. No, hell no. We're not doing another showcase. No. And if you are doing it, you better not tell people they need 20 likes or none of that crap, or else I'm done because I can't deal with another one of those. But if you need to filter anything, this is what you can do. And you're smart enough that you know how to do that. Unlike the people who message us asking us why we're posting this, posting that. I'm like, dude, you don't like it, don't read it. Move on.
Yeah. Well, that's my first mentor was in broadcasting was Ernie Johnson. My most influential was this guy named Jeff Hart, and he was when I was in South Carolina as a sportscaster, and we were covering our two major colleges were Clemson and South Carolina, and every time he got off the air, his phone would be blowing up. And this is like 2003, so before social media, and it was always like, you spent 45 seconds on Clemson and only 30 seconds on South Carolina. You're a Clemson fan and all this. And I was like, how do you? I was like, when you're doing a show, like what do you do? He's like, is like, I just try and please somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to make somebody happy. Like,
yeah.
I can't please everybody.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know what? Like I said, we get so many requests and stuff that, when somebody's got something good, like our theory or something, we'll post it. But it does upset some people, and not everybody's a fan. But that's normal. With any big platform, people are not going to like everything you do, right? So it is what it is, man. But yeah, thanks for having me on. This was an absolute blast. I know we could have probably gone for another couple hours. When I do a podcast, I've been shamed for this all the time. I've had some podcasts go like 4 or 5 hours, and then I'm sitting there and everyone's asking for like timelines on stuff. I'm like, oh shit, I have to do that now. Yeah, maybe not a good idea to go that long, because I could probably do an 8-hour podcast at any point. So
I have a dream where I love round tables, and like I like with Wade's, I call it. It's like, you want to happy hour it up,
yeah, that's right.
It's always like 10 o'clock at night his time after he puts his bed, and I'm up at like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
He'll have like his Hennessy, but like having like you and Wade's and Plunge and just I like the 3 dynamic. We'll get to that, but it's just so hard to schedule in all of our time zones. But the one-on-one is good, and I love I hope that those that watch get to see a different side of you, and which I did
for sure, man.
The first mint side, but then like all the stuff that's going on with you, like with the living in Canada and COVID and stuff, like that's real stuff. And that's it. At the end of the day, I don't care how influential you are or even a celebrity. We're just regular guys,
100%, man.
Just guys that like blockchain and basketball in our basements.
I always fake his intros and he gets pissed, man. Sometimes I start the spaces like that. What's up, everyone? It's LG, and he, I don't know if he likes it or not. I don't care. I always do it, man.
First of all, I butchered his last name. And I kept it in there. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to keep it in
Who cares, man? It's all good.
But I was like, there's those little jealousies, frustrations, but it's actually admiration, where it's like, your fucking voice, man. Like,
I know, man. I know. It hasn't always been like that. So I'm always like, dude, when we were kids or even young adults, I don't know where that came from. I didn't hear you talking like that. So you've been working on that. You've had that weapon in your arsenal. And even that French podcast I went on, the host was explaining to the UFC fighter, because the UFC fighter does not listen to the First Mint, and he doesn't really, he's not on TopShot. He's more interested in the UFC, NFTs. And the host was explaining to him our dynamic. He's like, oh, you know what, Oliver, it's actually great. LG has that sexy, sensual, like radio voice, and Phil is that crazy wild guy. I'm like, oh, thanks. Right? So he goes, it works. Their dynamic actually works. He was explaining to him. So the guy was pretty intrigued, but yeah.
My best friend growing up, Dice, we went to college and we had a sports show called the Sports Crazies on the college station. And he's got that deep, voice, like he's perfect sports anchor. He was a much better sports anchor than I ever was. And then I've got that whiny bitch voice. The one that, like, I call to order a pizza and they're like, we'll be right there, ma'am. And it's like,
that's awesome.
But we had the show, and to this day, whenever we talk, we always joke, like when we get off the phone, it's like, good podcast. If we've got to, our time is limited, but we want to remember, like, hey, remind me the next time we talk, I got to tell you, we'll joke. And it's like, tell Fat Max in the corner.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Producing the next show,
You can't have everyone with the same voices, man. That's not how it works. So it's all good. It's a dynamic thing with us. We're having a good time.
Well, cool, brother.
All right, Jason.
I appreciate it. And, for TopShot NFT, I'm Jason with the real Phil D. Great work over at the First Mint. Make sure you guys follow him, check him out, and listen to his speculations with a smart, open mind.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man.